But what to do, Mataji? Then people may be listening to that, na?
It's only 1 minute, na Mataji. What? They listen.
That's what I know, but they will miss the remaining slogas, na? That's what I'm asking.
Well, what to do, Mataji? Even that's what I was wondering. We can't, we have to be careful. That's all we can do, Mataji, no?
Now it is showing the meeting is being live streamed.
Okay.
Then there is some. Mataji, you please see near the OK, some symbol is coming, na? Can you see?
1 second, Mataji.
Live. There one eye symbol is showing. You please check whether you can see whether it is going on recording or what.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, yes.
Please
Yeah.
keep a watch then.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay, Mataji, we'll start now.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
So you're able to see the screen, Mataji?
Yeah, yesterday we have finished till 5. Now this we have done, Mataji.
Yeah, 6 we'll start. So you can please start with the reading the Shloka 7.6, Mataji, and the translation also.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah, please.
Hare Krishna, Shloka 7.6. Ed yonini bhutani.
Etad, Mataji. Etad yonini.
Etat yonini
Yonini.
Yonini bhutani. Etat yonini bhutani. Sarvanidi upadharaya. Aham कृत्स्नस्य जगतः प्रभवः प्रलयस्तथा.
Hari Bol. Wonderful, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Explanation. All created beings have their source in these two natures of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world. Know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, yesterday we saw that in this chapter we'll be knowing knowledge of the absolute truth. So, knowledge of Krishna. So, who is the absolute truth, and everything will be knowing. And previous slokas we saw, we are going to understand more about the energies, the material and the spiritual energies of the Lord. So, the same in continuation today. In 7.6 also we'll see. So Krishna is saying everything in this world comes from two energies. See, everything that is being run in this material world is run by the energies of Krishna. So Krishna directly doesn't come into this material world, but he's always in Goloka Vrindavan, but he runs the material world with his energies. Okay, what are the two energies? One is the matter and spirit. Okay, so matter means what? Yesterday we discussed in the shlokas: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego.
Yes.
Okay, so these 8 are matter. And what is spirit? The living entity and Paramatma. Okay, but both of these energies belong to Krishna. And we have to understand one thing: matter cannot act by itself. See, for example, see, a dead body has all the material elements. See, a dead body is made up of earth, water, air, fire, everything. See, it's made of all these material elements. But without the soul, it cannot move. Right? See, it's like a dead body, the soul is out of the body. But if the soul is within the body, there is consciousness, right? It can move and do everything. Like that, similarly, this whole universe looks active only because Supreme Spirit is present inside matter. Why do you think that the sun is rising at a correct time, moon is rising at a correct time, the seasons come at the correct time, and everything happens at a particular time? Why? Because of the Supreme Spirit. So if the Supreme Spirit is not active in this universe, everything would be dull. There would be no movement, like the dead body. So, for the whole universe to be active, it is active because the Supreme Spirit is present inside that matter. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada, he gives an example. See, a small soul, a living entity, he can build a skyscraper or a city. So we see, right? Many people, they builders, they build skyscrapers or a city. But the supreme soul, the super soul, Paramatma, he can create an entire universe. Okay, so but what do the scientists say? The scientists say matter creates life. They say everything comes from matter. So matter only creates life. That is quite opposite what they are saying. But they have to understand that spirit comes first and then matter follows. Okay, first the spirit should be there and then only the matter. Because if there is only matter, what is the use? See, it's like a person, it's like there's a car, but the driver is not there. What use is the car of then? So it's first the driver that is important to drive the car. So spirit comes first and matter follows. It's just like electricity runs a machine. See, without electricity, the machine is useless. Only that electricity is passed and the switch is on, the machine will run using that electricity. Otherwise, the machine is of no use. So, in the same way, the super soul, he runs the entire universe. Okay, and individual soul runs only his particular body. So, super soul is present in all the living entities. Um, he runs the whole universe. And individual soul, he runs only his body. Okay, so and Krishna says also, I'm the source of both matter and spirit, and I'm also the dissolution. Okay, at the end also, it's because of Krishna that everything gets dissolved. So, meaning, what is Krishna trying to say? The universe comes from him, it stays by his energy, and it's destroyed by his will. So, it means to say that everything he creates, he maintains, and he destroys. Okay, so that is why the Upanishads say, among all eternal beings, there is one supreme eternal. Chetanas Chetananam Nityo Nityanam. Okay, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. So there is among so many eternal beings, Krishna is the supreme eternal. So, what do we understand in this shloka? We are not independent enjoyers. Okay, we are Krishna's energy. The real knowledge begins when we see everything in relation to Krishna, because everything in this world is uh, run by Krishna's energies. So nothing is independent of him. So we are not independent, we are dependent on Krishna's energies. Okay, and we know, and when we try to see everything in relationship to Krishna, that is real knowledge. Okay. So yesterday we saw this, right? What are the gross elements? What are the shloka 4? Okay.
Yes, we have seen.
What? Yeah, we've seen all this. Okay, so here earth, water, air, fire, ether, intelligence, false ego, they are my separated energy. And so we've seen plenary expansions. Means what? Plenary means the complete expansions that come from Krishna are what? Mahavishnu, Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, Shirodaka Sai Vishnu. So Mahavishnu, he's if you see in the next box, Mataji, he creates the total material energy. Like from his pores, all the multiple universes come from Mahavishnu.
Okay.
And these universes float on the Karana ocean. So, and once they start floating, Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu enters into each of these universes. Okay, and he maintains each universe. And Kshirodakasai Vishnu is an expansion of Garbhodakasai Vishnu, and he enters into every atom to maintain as super soul. So he is the Paramatma who enters into every living entity. So these three are the main persons who run who perform all the activities of the material world. They are the, okay. Next is, and here in the last, the conditioned soul, they think that the material world is for enjoyment. They think it is for material world is for enjoyment of living entities, and living entities are Purusha, cause, controller, enjoyer of material energy. So we were all with Krishna, but because we wanted to enjoy like Krishna, this material world Krishna created so that people like all of us could enjoy like Krishna. Okay, that is why he created this material world. And in the purple box, we see this material world is temporary and all activities directed by three Vishnus. We saw Mahavishnu, Garbhodakasai Vishnu, Kshirodakasai Vishnu. And what are the ingredients of the material world? They are separated energies of the Lord. So gross elements are earth, water, fire, air, ether. So these are the 5 gross elements. And subtle elements are mind, intelligence, false ego. Okay. Now let's see 5 to 6. So Krishna's energies means Shaktis. Okay. So there are 3. Antaranga, Tatastha, Bahiranga. Okay. So Antaranga means it is the internal energy, the Yogamaya, the spiritual energy of the Lord. Antaranga Shakti means. Tatastha Shakti means marginal. That is also superior. That Tatastha Shakti means it's the Jiva, soul, living entity. Okay, he is the one. And the third one is Bahiranga, external, is the material nature. Bahiranga Shakti is the material nature or Prakriti. That is called the external energy, and it is the inferior energy. Inferior. It is inferior to the Jiva and the Antaranga Shakti. Okay. And again, we saw, right, earlier shloka, material world is divided into gross and subtle. Gross is like earth, water, air, fire, ether. And subtle is mind, intelligence, false ego. Okay. So now let's go to 7.7. Mataji, can you please read the shloka and the translation, please?
7.7. Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, if you don't understand, please stop me, Mataji.
No, I am following, Mataji.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Mataji following. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. Shloka 7.7. Mattaha parataram nanyat kinjidasti dhananjaya madi sarvam idam
Mataji. Sorry.
Mayi sarvam idam proktam sutre manigana iva. Hare Krishna.
Perfect, Mataji.
A translation, O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here, Krishna says, there is no truth superior to me. Okay, everything rests upon me like pearls on a thread. So now we have to understand this example carefully. See, when you see a necklace, you see only pearls, but you don't see the thread. The thread is invisible. From outside only we can see the pearls. Still, without the thread, the pearls cannot stay together. See, if the thread is not there, the pearls will fall down. Right? So it's the thread is invisible, but from outside we can see only the pearls. But the pearls are together because of that thread itself. Okay? So like that, see, we see from outside, we see the universe, we see the living beings, we see laws of nature, but we don't see the unseen support of Krishna. See, everything, all this is resting on Krishna. Yet, he remains invisible to our material eyes. See, now, in the purport, Prabhupada says there is a common confusion. Now, some people say ultimate truth, the absolute truth is impersonal, without form. They say God has no form. But Srila Prabhupada, he clearly explains arupam. Arupam does not mean formless. It means no it means no material form. Arupam means not that he has no form. It means no material form like us. Krishna's form is Satchidananda. It is Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, Ananda means full of bliss. See, it is not made of earth, water, fire, air like our bodies. Okay, like that. So, Krishna's form is transcendental. It is not imaginary, it is not material. Okay, so the Upanishads confirm this. There is no truth superior to that supreme person. So the Upanishads are also telling Krishna has a form. So there is no truth superior to that supreme person. So we should understand that the absolute truth is not just light or that impersonal Brahmajyoti, or he is not void. And that light also, that Brahmajyoti we are talking, is Krishna's bodily effulgence. Okay, and Paramatma that we talk. Paramatma is also his expansion, Krishna's expansion. But ultimate is Bhagavan Krishna. He is the source of both Paramatma and Brahmajyoti. Because from Bhagavan's effulgence, Krishna's effulgence, bodily effulgence, only that Brahmajyoti, that is impersonal Brahmajyoti. And Krishna's expansion is only Paramatma. So, Bhagavan Krishna is the complete source. So, we should understand that the absolute truth, uh, um, he's a person. So, the absolute truth is a person. He supports everything in this material world by his energies. Okay, so if we know Krishna, we end the cycle of birth and death. So, there is no truth higher than Krishna. Okay. So let's go to 7.8, Mataji. So these are all like, okay. So I think I have to open 7.8. It's not there. I'll open the. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Can you please read the shloka and the translation, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. I can see. Hare Krishna, Shloka 7.8. Resoham ama
Up
apsu
to.
apsu apsu kaundeya prabhasmi shashi suryayoho pranavaha sarvavedeshu shabdaha ke paurusham nrishu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Very good, Mataji. Please read the translation also, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji. Translation. Oh, son of Kundi, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in either and ability in man.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, in this verse, so Krishna is telling Arjuna how we can see Krishna everywhere, even though we cannot see him directly with our eyes. See, in this material world, Krishna is transcendental. We are all material. So, how can we see Krishna? So, we can't see Krishna directly with the material eyes. So, how can we perceive Krishna indirectly? So Krishna is saying, how can you know that I'm present? Through I'm the taste of water, I'm the light of the sun and the moon, I'm the sound Om in the Vedic mantras, I'm the sound in the sky, I am the ability in human beings. Okay, so this means Krishna is present everywhere through his energies. So, first we'll see taste of water. So, Srila Prabhupada he gives a very nice example. See, when we are very thirsty, we drink pure fresh water. When we drink pure fresh water, we feel relief and happiness, right? So, that pleasant taste is Krishna. Pleasant taste of water is Krishna. Sea water is also water, right? But no one likes to drink it. Why? Because the pure taste is lost. Because it's so salty, right? So Prabhupada says that pure taste of water is Krishna. So whenever you drink water and feel refreshed, remember Krishna. Okay, so this is how you can remember Krishna, right? Whenever you're thirsty, whenever you drink water, that taste is Krishna. So you can remember Krishna like that. He is present through the taste of water. Next, sunlight and moonlight, they're talking. See, we cannot go near the sun, but we understand by seeing the sunlight that the sun is there, right? We don't have to see that the sun has come or not. Only through the sunlight we can understand that the sun is there. So, like that, Krishna, he actually lives in a spiritual abode in Goloka Vrindavan. But we can experience Krishna through his energies. So, sunlight and moonlight are actually coming from Krishna's spiritual light called Brahma Jyoti. So, we said, right, the effulgence coming from Krishna's body is Brahma Jyoti. So, that Brahma Jyoti is the reason for the sunlight and the moonlight. So, whenever you see light, you can think this is Krishna's energy. Whenever you see the sunlight or a moonlight, you can understand, oh, this is Krishna's energy. And next, Om is the sound of Krishna. See, many people chant Om thinking it is impersonal. Okay, but it is not impersonal. See, Prabhupada explains Om is actually the sound representation of Krishna. See, some people they are afraid to say Krishna, so they chant Om. Okay, but they don't know that Om means Krishna. Okay, so whether someone chants Om or Krishna, the source is the same person. So Prabhupada clearly explains there is no contradiction between personal form of Krishna, impersonal energy of Krishna. See, example, the sun god is a person and sunshine is his energy, right? So sun god is like a person, he is person, and sunshine is his energy. Okay, so you cannot separate sunshine from the sun. So, like that, Krishna is the supreme person and his energy is spread everywhere. Okay, this philosophy is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us this philosophy Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. Okay, what does this mean? Achintya Beda Abedha. Abeda, Abada means Beda means simultaneous, oneness, and difference. See, simultaneously both are one actually, right? So Krishna and the impersonal Jyoti both are one. I mean, like Bhagavan, all these three are same. Krishna only, right? Simultaneous one, but different. So different stages of realization. All are Krishna only. See, that impersonal Brahma Jyoti is also Krishna. And Paramatma is also Krishna. Right? From Krishna, all are coming. So all are one. At the same time, they are different. So simultaneously one and different. Okay. So next, Krishna is saying, you can see me through my energy as ability in man. So, any talents that we have, intelligence, strength, memory, skill, that is not ours. So, that in talent or the ability in man is given by Krishna. So, Prabhupada says if Krishna withdraws his energy, immediately we become useless. So, we should not be proud. So if Krishna is giving us some talent, we should be grateful and humble. We should never feel proud. Okay, so what do we understand from this shloka? See, Krishna is not far away as all of us think. He is with us at every moment through his energies. So we can experience him through water, light, sound, and ability. So if we remember Krishna, that is liberation. If we forget Krishna, that is bondage. So knowing Krishna is real knowledge, forgetting Krishna is illusion. So whenever you drink water, you see light, chant you when you chant Om or use your ability, remember Krishna. So that remembrance is the beginning of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so we can remember Krishna like this because we can't see Krishna with our material eyes. The transcendental form of Krishna we can't see, right? So we can perceive Krishna through his energies because he is present in this material world through his energies. Okay, so Mataji, can you please read 7.9?
Hare Krishna
Yeah,
Mataji.
yeah.
Hare Krishna, Shloka 709. Punyo Gandha Prithvivyam cha Tejas Chaschasmi Vibhavasau Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu Tapas Chasmi Tapasvishu. Hare
Hari
Krishna.
Bol.
Hare Krishna. Translation: I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penance of all ascetics.
Ascetics, yeah. Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. So, further, he's explaining how you can see Krishna in this material world. So, Krishna is explaining how he's present in every element of this world. He's not, it is not an imagination, but as the original active principle behind everything. So, Krishna, what is he saying in this shloka? I am the original fragrance of the earth. I am the heat and fire. I am the life of all living beings. I am the penance of all ascetics. So, this verse teaches us how to see Krishna practically in daily life. Okay, first he's saying he's the original fragrance of the earth. See, every object in this world has a smell, a taste, a flavor. See, for example, a flower has fragrance. Okay, and earth has a natural smell, especially after it rains. That smell is too good. Okay, that smell of mud. So, water also has taste, and fire has heat. Okay, so that original pure fragrance and taste is Krishna. See, when chemicals are mixed, the original smell or taste changes, but the original nature comes from Krishna. So, whenever you smell wet soil, flowers, or natural fragrance, remember this original fragrance is Krishna. Okay, next is heat and fire. Krishna is saying, I'm the heat and fire. See, without fire, we can't cook, we cannot run factories, we cannot survive. Okay? But fire means it's not just flames. Fire means that it's also the heat inside fire is Krishna. Okay, the heat inside fire is Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada he gives an example. He says that according to Vedic medicine, digestion happens because of fire in the stomach. If digestion is weak, it means the internal fire is low. So even digestive power is Krishna's energy. So without Krishna's fire, food cannot be digested. So body cannot function. Okay. So next, Krishna is saying what? I'm the life of all living beings. So Krishna says I'm the life of all that lives. See, life does not come from chemicals. The scientists say that your body is made of these chemicals. If we combine these chemicals, we can make man. So Prabhupada said through what do you say? He said, yeah, I'll give you all the chemicals. Then will you create the human being? Yeah, surely will. The scientist said, yeah, surely we'll create, but in the future, not now. So Prabhupada said, yeah, these scientists, they don't know, they can't accept the reality of life, and they will say everything in they'll give a post-dated check. Everything in the future, we'll do, they will say. Okay, so chemicals work only when life is present. See, like how a dead body has blood, organs, chemicals, everything it has, but it cannot live. Why? Because Krishna has withdrawn his energy. Means the Krishna has taken the soul, the spirit from that body. Okay, so what is the use of that body now without the soul? So birth, life, duration of life all depend on Krishna's mercy. So by Krishna's will, life can be prolonged. Life can be shortened. It's up to Krishna. Okay? So penance of the ascetics, and we see many people, they perform austerities like fasting, keeping silence like mauna vrata, meditation, but the power to perform penance also comes from Krishna. So without Krishna, no determination, no tolerance, no discipline. So even renunciation is not ours, it is Krishna working through us. Okay, so everything Krishna is doing through us. Okay, we think that we have done all these fast and everything. No, because Krishna gave us that ability to do, we were able to do that fast. Otherwise, we cannot do it. So even renunciation is not ours. It is Krishna. He's working through us. So in Krishna consciousness, we realize what earth, water, fire, air, smell, taste, heat, life, digestion, strength. See, everything is Krishna's energy only. So Krishna is not absent from this world. So through all these things, you can see Krishna every day. So he's present everywhere through his energies. Okay, so whatever keeps us alive, that life or that breath or whatever gives that taste, heat, strength, and fragrance, that is Krishna. So to remember, this is the actual knowledge. When you forget this actual knowledge, that is illusion, Maya. So when you smell earth, you remember Krishna. When you feel heat, remember Krishna. Digest food, remember Krishna. When you're breathing, remember Krishna. So this constant remembrance is real Krishna consciousness. So we should try to see Krishna in all these things. So then Krishna is never lost to us. Okay, the 10th shloka. Mataji, can you please read the shloka and the translation, please?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Shloka 10. Hare Krishna. 7.10. Bijam mam sarvabhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam buddhir buddhimata asmi tejas tejasvinam aham.
Haribol. Wonderful, Mataji.
Translation. O son of Pritha, know that I am the original seed of all existences, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the prowesses of the powerful man. Hare
Haribol.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Krishna, he is giving further points so that we can remember him. So in this verse, Krishna declares that he is the source of everything, not just symbolically, but really, actually, is the source of everything. So Krishna is saying, I am the original seed of all existences. I am the intelligence of the intelligent. I am the strength of the strong. So this verse helps us understand where everything truly comes from. So first Krishna is saying he is the original seed. See, everything, every living thing, living being comes from a seed, be it humans, animals, birds, insects, trees, plants. So, but some living beings, they move, some do not move. But all belong to 84 lakh species of life. Okay, the seed of all these lives is Krishna. The seed comes from Krishna. So Prabhupada explains, just like a tree grows from one seed, okay, and the root maintains the whole tree. Okay, once the seed starts sprouting, the roots come beneath and the root maintains the whole tree. So similarly, Krishna is the root of all existence. If the root is nourished, the entire tree is nourished. So if we serve Krishna, everything is served. Okay. So next, Krishna is saying personal and impersonal truth. So the Vedic scriptures say everything comes from Brahman. Okay, the Vedas say. But Krishna explains that Brahman is impersonal energy. So Parabrahman is the supreme person, Krishna. So the impersonal Brahman, it rests on the personal form of Krishna. So impersonal Brahman is nothing but the light, effulgence coming from Krishna's body. So it is nothing but it's the impersonal Brahman, it rests on the personal form of Krishna. Okay, and Krishna is also saying he is the intelligence of the intelligent. So Krishna says, no, I mean, like no one can do anything without intelligence. So all of us also need intelligence, right? When we have to take decisions. Okay, even a scientist or a teacher or a doctor or a teacher's a student. Okay, but where does this intelligence come from? It comes from Krishna. So Prabhupada explains, without intelligence, one cannot even understand Krishna. So intelligence is given by Krishna to recognize Krishna. So if intelligence is used to forget Krishna, that is misuse. Okay, so we should use our intelligence properly. So next Krishna is telling his strength of the strong. So the strength may be physical power or mental strength, courage, determination. Okay, but that strength also is not ours. It is Krishna's energy. See, a powerful man may feel proud today, but tomorrow he may become weak. See, for example, there is a wrestler. He may be a hero now, but if a small mosquito comes and bites him, he becomes zero. He's down with malaria in the hospital bed. Right? So he may become weak. Why? Because Krishna can withdraw his energy at any moment. Okay, so what is real strength? Real strength is strength. That's why our strength should be used in Krishna's service. Okay, so Krishna is the only person who maintains everyone. So this means we are living beings and Krishna is the supreme living being. He is maintaining all life. Okay, he is a maintainer of all living beings. Okay, so what do you understand from the shloka? Krishna is the root, Krishna is the seed, Krishna is the intelligence, Krishna is the strength. So nothing exists independently. So if Krishna gives us intelligence, we can understand Krishna. If he takes it away, we understand nothing. So the best use of intelligence, the best use of intelligence is intelligence and strength and life is to use it to serve Krishna. That's the best way we can use everything. Whatever Krishna has given us, we use it back in Krishna's service. Okay, so let's go to 7.11. Hare Krishna Mataji, can you please read the shloka and the translation,
Sure,
Mataji?
Mataji. Sure,
Yeah.
Mataji. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Shloka 7.11. Belam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu ka kamosmi bharadarshava.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
A translation: I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life which is not contrary to religious principles, O Lord of the Bharadas. Arjuna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, in this verse, Krishna teaches how his energy should be used properly and not misused. So, Krishna says, I am the strength of the strong, which is free from passion and desire. And what else is he saying? I am sex life, which is not against religious principles. So, this verse shows the difference between the pure use and misuse of Krishna's energy. So, he's saying strength of the strong. Okay, Krishna says he is the strength of the strong people. And Prabhupada, he clearly explains, see, real strength is not for aggression or domination. Okay, strength when Krishna gives should be used to protect the weak, help others, uphold dharma. See, for example, a policeman's strength is meant to protect citizens, not to terrorize them. Okay, so similarly, if strength is used for ego, violence, or exploitation, that strength is no longer Krishna's strength. Okay, when you use everything fairly, that is Krishna's strength. But if you use it against something illegal, that strength is no longer Krishna's strength. So, Krishna's strength is free from passion and selfish desire. Okay, so Krishna's strength usually comes with pride, anger, lust. Generally, when we say strength, how do we get that strength? That strength comes with pride, anger, lust. So, but Krishna says, my strength is pure. So, pure strength means what? It is controlled, it is responsible, and it is dharmic. So, Prabhupada says that power without character is dangerous. You have power and you have no character, so you will use it in all, you'll misuse it. But if you have a good character, you'll use it properly. So when strength is guided by dharma, it represents Krishna. Okay. And next, what is Krishna saying? Sex life, that is Krishna when practiced properly. So Krishna, he does not deny sex life. He clearly says, I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles. So according to Vedic culture, sex life is allowed, but only within marriage and not for and only for having children and not for uncontrolled pleasure, exploitation, sense gratification. So sex is meant only for having children, not for enjoyment. Okay, so Prabhupada also says that Prabhupada strongly he says, okay, parents are responsible to make their children Krishna conscious. Just giving birth is not enough. So real parenthood means what Prabhupada is saying? Giving spiritual education, teaching them chanting, teaching good character, teaching service to Krishna. Otherwise, sex life becomes sinful, not spiritual. See, for example, see a knife can be used to cut vegetables. That is for a good purpose. But the same knife can be used to hurt someone. If you murder someone with that knife, that is misuse, right? So similarly, so sex life under dharma is Krishna. So sex life under lust is bondage, maya. So the energy is the same, but consciousness makes the difference. So when strength and sex life are guided by dharma and responsibility, they become spiritual, not material. Okay, so when energy is used for dharma, it represents Krishna. When used for pleasure, it means when we use it for our sense enjoyment, it binds us. Okay, so real Krishna consciousness means controlled strength. Okay, responsible family life and raising children as devotees. Okay, so let's go to 12, the last shloka for today. So, Mataji, can you please read the shloka and translation, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sloka 7.12. Ye chaiva sattvika bhava rajasas tamasam chaye.
Tamasascha.
Tamasaschaye. Okay, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, perfect.
तामसाश्चये मत्त एवेदि तान् विद्धि न त्व अहं तेषु ते मयि. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, it is na tu aham or tvaham.
न त्वहं न त्वहं तेषु ते मयि. ठीक है?
Perfect, Mataji. Perfect. Yeah. Please read the translation also, Mataji.
Okay, sure, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Translation. Know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am, in one sense, everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, in this verse, Krishna explains how everything in this world works, and at the same time, how he is above it. Always he is above it. Okay, so Krishna says that all states of being come from three modes. So, actually, this material world is run on these three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So, Krishna is saying these modes are my energy, but I am independent. So, these modes don't act on me. I am independent. I am not under these modes. Rather, what is Krishna saying? The modes are within me. Means he is the one who has given these modes. Okay, so he is the person who is given, but he is not affected by the modes. Okay, so this verse helps us understand who controls material nature. So the three modes control this world. Okay, the material world is run on purely on these three modes. So we are hand tied by these three modes. That's why sometimes we are in Satvaguna, we go to the temple, we listen to Bhagavad Gita class. Sometimes we are in Rajoguna, so we are running here and there, earning money, running here and there, doing all everything very passionately. Or sometimes we are in Tamoguna, we are always sleepy, we are lazy, we don't feel like doing everything. So we are controlled by these modes in the material world. Okay, so everything we see in this world, it works under these three gunas. See, when you're in the mode of goodness, it means there is clarity, knowledge, cleanliness, peace. When you're in passion, you have more number of desires, ambition, activity, you're restless. Okay, when you're in ignorance, mode of ignorance, you're like laziness, more of laziness, darkness, madness, distraction. Destruction. So, all our thoughts, actions, habits, lifestyles are influenced by these modes. No one in this material world is free from them. Everybody has the influence of the modes on them. So, these modes are Krishna's energy. The modes do not exist independently, they come from Krishna. See, these three modes, they come from Krishna. Okay, so they come from Krishna, but Krishna is not controlled by them. He is above these three gunas. He is like in the Shuddha Sattva, right? It's Prabhupada gives an example like how a king makes the law. Citizens must follow the law. If they break it, the citizens are punished. But the king is not punished by his own law. He is not punishable, though he may violate, but because it's the rules created by the king. So, similarly, these modes are like laws, and living entities are living under these laws. Okay, so Krishna is the lawmaker, so Krishna is never bound by material nature. Like the king is never bound by his rules, like Krishna is never bound by material nature. So, Krishna is Nirguna. See, nirguna means is not he does not have any guna. Okay, it means that his qualities are not material like us. He has all spiritual qualities. It's not material, it is spiritual. Okay, so we have to understand that. So what do we understand? We are under the every person, living entity in the material world is under the control of these modes, but Krishna is above these modes. He is in the Shuddha Sattva. Okay, that is why he is called Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to understand that material nature works under Krishna. The three modes bind us. The modes do not bind Krishna. So when we forget this, we suffer. When we remember this, we surrender. So we understand that we are, what is the final conclusion of this shloka is, we are under nature, but nature is working under Krishna. Okay, so we are in this material nature, material world, Prakriti, but Prakriti is working under Krishna. Okay, so the real intelligence is we stop fighting with the modes. We can never stop fighting with the modes. Like what's the best thing to do? Take shelter of Krishna, because only Krishna is always free from these modes. Otherwise, we cannot come out of these modes. We are always tied in these three modes. To get freed from the bondage, we have to go to a person who is not tied with these modes. Who is that person who is not tied with these modes? That is Krishna. He is above these modes, right? Okay, so that's why we should take shelter of Krishna. Only when we take of shelter of Krishna will we be free from the three modes. So that's what they are trying to say in this shloka. So just surrender to Krishna, then you'll be free from all the modes. Okay. Yeah, so this 12th sloka we finished, Mataji. See, Nirguna is not affected by the modes. All material activities are conducted under the three modes. So these modes emanate from the Supreme Lord, but he is not affected by them. Analogy we saw of the king and the lawmaker. Okay, so with this we complete 12. So tomorrow we'll start with section C, how the three modes are controlled by Krishna, and we'll see therefore surrender. We'll see it in the next class, Mataji. Thank you so much.